Imagine standing in the back of an army so vast that if you turned around, you'd never see where it begins. Now picture that this army is more than just a mass of men marching. It's a living, breathing city, a force of nature in itself, carrying everything it needs to survive: kitchens, hospitals, wagons, weapons, and men who have pledged their loyalty to the Roman Empire. But what lies beneath that unstoppable force? What does it truly take to march with the Roman legions? Could you survive just one single day alongside them, bearing the weight of history, discipline, and a march that might never end? This isn't just a story of men fighting in battle. It's the story of their resilience, their grueling survival, and the brutal reality of life as a Roman soldier. The Romans didn't just fight their enemies. They fought the terrain, the elements, exhaustion, and their own bodies. The challenge wasn't just to conquer lands. It was to march without faltering, without stopping, and without the luxury of rest. Today, you're about to take a journey unlike any other. A journey into the heart of the Roman legions. A journey that begins before the first light breaks the sky and ends only when the last man has taken his final step. Brace yourself, because the Roman march isn't for the weak. It's a test of endurance, discipline, and sacrifice. Could you survive? Let's find out. It's the height of the Roman Empire, an era of triumph, expansion, and absolute domination. From the northern reaches of Britain to the scorching sands of Egypt, from the fertile plains of Gaul to the deserts of Mesopotamia, the Roman legions were the ultimate symbol of power and control. But what made the Roman army so deadly? Was it just the might of their weapons? Or was it their unmatched ability to move as one, to march with such precision that they could crush any enemy, conquer any territory, and rebuild any city? The truth was, it wasn't just their weapons, armor, or their military strategies that made them unstoppable. It was their ability to move swiftly and with brutal efficiency. Roman soldiers were not just warriors. They were survivalists, engineers, and laborers. Each man in the legion carried not just a sword, but the weight of Rome itself. And to understand the true scale of what it took to march with the Romans, we have to look beyond the battles. We need to look at the daily grind, the long marches, and the toll it took on every single soldier. This wasn't a battle that lasted hours. This was a journey that could stretch over hundreds of miles, often taking weeks, even months. It was about more than just surviving the battles. It was about surviving the journey itself. A journey that could break even the most determined of men. Now imagine being one of those men. The day starts before the sun rises, at the hour when the world is still asleep. The air is cold, the ground is damp, and the silence is broken only by the faint sounds of horses galloping in the distance, the speculatori, the elite scouts of the Roman army, setting out ahead to ensure that nothing disrupts the march. As the camp begins to stir, the soldiers prepare for a long day ahead. Each man, with his armor, weapons, and supplies, is ready to face not just the enemy, but the relentless march of Rome. Every step is a test of endurance, a test of strength, and most of all, a test of discipline. For the Roman legions, the march was not just a physical challenge, it was a mental one, where failure meant death. The question we need to ask is, could you survive this journey? Could you survive the brutal reality of marching in a Roman legion? It's still dark, the kind of dark where the stars seem impossibly close and the ground is slick with the dew of the night. But for the Roman legions, there's no time to waste. The soldiers rise from their tents, their movements measured and disciplined. Not a word is spoken, They don't need to speak. They've done this before, hundreds, maybe thousands of times. The routine is ingrained, every step a part of a larger machine that has moved across the world for centuries. As the first rays of light begin to cut through the cold morning mist, the sound of the cornu, a Roman horn, echoes through the camp. It's the signal to start. In the distance, the faint gallop of the speculatori can be heard as they race ahead of the legion, scouting the terrain for any signs of danger. These elite soldiers are not just the eyes of the legion, they are its lifeblood. Their role is critical. They move silently, swiftly across the land, checking for enemy forces, assessing the best routes, and ensuring that nothing can halt the advance of the Roman serpent. Back at the camp, the centurions, the officers who command the soldiers, are already up. Their task is to wake the men and ensure that everything is packed and ready for the day. A quick blast of the cornu is followed by a series of quick, efficient movements. Each soldier has his own assigned role, a specific piece of gear to check, a particular task to complete. There's no room for error, not today, not in a Roman legion. The soldiers of Rome don't rely on wagons to carry their gear. They carry it themselves, 20 to 30 kilos of equipment, a burden that is theirs alone to bear. The gladius, the sword of Rome, rests at their side. The scutum, the iconic Roman shield, hangs from their arm. Their javelins, their digging tools, their stakes for building fortifications, all of it must be carried. They also pack enough rations to last them for 3 days, dried meat, grain, and water. It's not luxury, it's survival. These men are not just soldiers. They are builders. They are engineers. They are laborers. Their job is not just to fight, but to survive and to build the Roman Empire wherever it marches. Their path is one of survival. They know the price of failure. They know that they cannot afford to slow down, to falter, to get sick or exhausted. Because if one man falls behind, the entire column could be exposed. Meanwhile, as the soldiers prepare, the high command, the legatus legionis, the military tribunes, and the chief engineers are already at work. They are reviewing intelligence reports, maps, and the latest news from scouts. The route for the day's march is carefully chosen. Every hill, every valley, every marsh is accounted for. No surprises, no mistakes. The Romans didn't just fight battles. They planned for everything, and every plan was made to ensure that the legion kept moving. But the planning doesn't stop with the soldiers. The animals too must be ready. Mules are fed, carts are inspected, and the supply train, the impedimenta, is organized with the same discipline as the soldiers themselves. The baggage train is slow, it's cumbersome, but it's essential. Without it, the legion couldn't survive. It carries the food, the tools, the medical supplies, and everything needed to support the men during the long march. One mistake here, one broken cart, one lost mule, and the entire operation could be delayed. As the sun begins to rise, the legion is ready. The first column begins to move, slowly at first, but with growing speed and precision. The sound of the soldiers' boots against the earth is like the heartbeat of the Roman Empire, steady, unstoppable, relentless. Every step taken brings them closer to their destination, but no one dares to rest, not yet. The soldiers march in absolute silence. This isn't just about discipline, it's about strategy. The Romans knew that if the enemy heard them coming, they could prepare, set traps, or ambush them. Silence is their weapon. The army moves in perfect unison. It's thousands of soldiers, mules, and horses, all part of the same rhythm. At the front, the veterans lead the way, setting the pace. In the middle, the new recruits march, learning from those who have seen battle. And at the back, the troublemakers, the ones who would falter, the ones who would break rank, are carefully watched. No one is allowed to slow down the march. If someone does fall, they are left behind. As the Roman column moves forward, the vanguard is already miles ahead, covering the distance with a combination of speed, precision, and deadly intent. These men are not just scouts. They are the eyes, the ears, and the first line of defense for the entire legion. The vanguard is composed of the most elite soldiers the Roman Empire could offer. Numidians known for their unparalleled speed and agility, Thracians with their brutal combat prowess, Gauls with their instinctive ferocity, and Syrians skilled with the bow. Their mission is more than just to lead the way. It is to secure the entire Roman war machine's advance. In hostile territory, every step they take could be their last. As they march, ahead their senses are heightened, constantly alert to any sound, movement, or sign of danger. They must anticipate the enemy's every move, for a single mistake could lead to disaster for the entire army. The distance between the vanguard and the main column is crucial. In regions like Germania, where dense forests stretch for miles and visibility is limited, the gap can be as much as 3 kilometers. This distance isn't just a buffer zone, it is a vital lifeline. A misstep could result in the enemy ambushing the main legion before it even has time to react. It's not just a mission of exploration, it's a mission of survival. As they trek through the rugged terrain, they must remain silent, moving in a way that the enemy doesn't even know they're there. They clear the path, dismantle traps, and protect the flanks. Every movement is calculated, every decision made with the knowledge that the fate of the entire column rests on their shoulders. And then, without warning, the first threat emerges. It's a group of enemy scouts, light, fast, and lethal. The vanguard springs into action. The Numidians ride ahead, charging swiftly to engage the enemy before they can alert the main force. The rest of the vanguard, armed with short swords and javelins, flank the enemy from the sides, forcing them into a corner. But it's not just about fighting. It's about keeping the road clear for the legions behind. The vanguard isn't just a line of soldiers. It is the last line of defense, the first to face the enemy and the first to clear the path. But there's more to their role than just combat. They are the early warning system for the army. If they don't make it back to the main column in time, or if the enemy catches them off guard, panic will spread throughout the entire legion. As the vanguard moves further, the stakes get higher. Every footstep is taken with the knowledge that one mistake could lead to catastrophe. The soldiers are experienced veterans, many of them battle-hardened, but even the most seasoned soldiers know that the true danger of the vanguard isn't the enemy. It's the isolation. They are far from the main force, with no immediate support should things go wrong. This is why the soldiers in the vanguard are chosen carefully. They are not just strong, but quick-thinking, resourceful, and fearless. They must be able to make split-second decisions that can change the outcome of an entire campaign. When an ambush is sprung, when traps are found, when danger looms large, the vanguard must respond immediately. And if they fail, the entire legion could be lost. The heart of the Roman legion, the main column, begins its advance as the vanguard clears the path ahead. But now, the true scale of Roman might becomes apparent. As the first soldiers step forward, they don't march as individuals, but as part of a living, breathing machine, a beast in motion, with 13,000 soldiers in tight formation, each moving with synchronized precision. This is where the discipline of the Roman army truly shines. The soldiers march in absolute order, following the lead of their commanders. The veterans, with years of experience under their belts, set the pace, their footsteps firm and steady. In the middle, the recruits, the fresh faces who have just entered the ranks of the empire, march with a mix of fear and excitement, their hearts pounding as they try to keep up with the rhythm of the seasoned warriors. At the back, the troublemakers, the men who might falter, who might grow weary, are closely watched by the more experienced soldiers to make sure no one breaks formation. But this isn't just about marching, it's about moving as one. The Roman column is designed to be narrow, often just 2 or 3 soldiers wide. This formation ensures that the legion can snake through valleys, climb mountain passes, and navigate narrow, treacherous roads without breaking apart. It's a strategy of efficiency. Every soldier knows his exact place. Every movement is planned. Every soldier, from the highest-ranking officer to the lowliest recruit, understands the importance of their role. Even in the midst of this overwhelming discipline, the danger is never far. The Romans know that a broken formation could mean disaster. One soldier out of line, one mistake, could spell the end. That's why the column moves with such precision. It isn't just about getting from one point to another. It's about moving in a way that no enemy can anticipate. It's about maintaining the appearance of an unstoppable force, a wall of soldiers that seems to move without end. Mounted messengers ride ahead, relaying orders from the high command to the front lines. The legatus legionis, the commander of the legion, is not sitting comfortably at the back, but rather riding ahead with his officers, making sure every decision is executed as planned. He is constantly updated on the progress of the march, any signs of trouble, and any potential threats. The command structure of the Roman legion is unlike anything the world had ever seen, a network of orders flowing seamlessly from the highest-ranking officer to the lowest-ranking soldier. As the main column pushes forward, the weight of the march begins to take its toll. The soldiers are exhausted. The heat of the day beats down on them, but they don't stop. They can't. Their packs are heavy, carrying everything they need to survive. Water, food, weapons, and even tools for digging trenches and constructing fortifications. All of it is carried on their backs. They march 20 to 30 kilometers every day, and they do so without complaint. This is the Roman way. Every soldier is a link in the chain, and the chain must not break. But even as the soldiers march on, their minds are focused not just on the march itself, but on what's ahead: the terrain, the enemy, and the possible battles that lie in wait. They know that the first signs of trouble could be their last, but they also know that they are part of something greater, something that no enemy, no matter how powerful, has been able to defeat. Each man in the legion carries the weight of Rome itself. His sword, shield, and javelins are not just weapons, they are the tools of conquest, the means by which Rome will expand its empire and secure its future. But this march is about more than just war. It's about discipline, survival, and the relentless will of an empire that never stops. As the hours pass, the soldiers continue their march, their faces set in grim determination. They are part of a vast army, one that stretches for miles, an endless procession of men, animals, and equipment. But in the midst of this immense force, they are each responsible for their own survival. The pace is unrelenting, the road ahead unknown, The Roman column marches on, its momentum unstoppable until the inevitable happens, the first signs of conflict. It comes in the form of a small group of enemy scouts hidden along the road, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The silence of the Roman march is shattered by the unmistakable sounds of battle. The clash of swords, the cry of soldiers, and the thunder of hooves. The vanguard, as always, is the first to engage. They are the first to feel the sting of enemy blades, the first to fall into the chaos of battle. The enemy, desperate to stop the Roman advance, has launched a surprise attack. But the vanguard is prepared. They have faced worse. They know that their job is not just to fight, but to buy time, to hold the line long enough for the main legion to catch up. But the situation grows dire. The vanguard, despite their elite training, is outnumbered. The enemy has learned from past battles, and they strike with deadly precision, cutting through the Roman ranks like a knife through butter. The men of the vanguard fight with everything they have, but even their skill is no match for the overwhelming force bearing down on them. Among them is Marcus, a veteran soldier who has fought in countless battles. His armor is battered, his sword heavy with the blood of his enemies. But today, as he faces wave after wave of enemy forces, he knows that victory is not guaranteed. His position is critical. If he falls, the rest of the Roman column will be exposed. His comrades fight beside him, but the pressure is immense. The weight of Rome itself seems to rest on his shoulders. Then, in a moment of clarity, Marcus spots the key to turning the tide, a narrow bridge, a perfect choke point. The enemy forces are advancing, and if they reach the bridge first, they will gain the upper hand. Marcus knows what he must do. He fights with everything he has, holding his position on the bridge, slowing the enemy long enough for the main legion to arrive. The tension is unbearable. The sound of steel on steel fills the air, and every second feels like an eternity. Marcus fights with the ferocity of a man who knows that the survival of the entire army depends on him. His sword strikes down enemy after enemy, but the cost is high. His body is bruised, his breath ragged. He can feel the weight of the battle, but he knows that failure is not an option. And then, just as all seems lost, the main legion arrives. The roar of Roman soldiers fills the air, and the enemy, once confident, is now faced with an unstoppable wall of men. The tide turns. The enemy, overwhelmed by the sheer force and discipline of the Roman army, begins to retreat. The battle is won, but not without sacrifice. Marcus, exhausted but victorious, stands on the bridge, bloodied but unbowed. He knows that today he has held the line. He has bought the legion the time it needed. The vanguard has done its job, and now the Roman war machine can continue its relentless march forward. But the cost of victory has been steep. The men who fought alongside him are dead, and many others lie wounded. The Roman column, though victorious, is weary and strained. But this is what it means to be a Roman soldier. Every battle, every step, every decision comes with a price. And yet, despite the cost, the Roman legions march on, because in the end, this isn't just about fighting enemies. It's about survival. It's about making sure that no matter what happens, Rome moves forward. The battlefield is eerily silent, save for the groans of the wounded and the heavy breathing of the victorious Roman soldiers. The air is thick with the smell of blood and dust, and the once pristine earth now bears the marks of the struggle. Bodies, broken weapons, and torn shields scattered across the ground. The battle is over, but the cost has been steep. The Roman legions stand victorious, but they are far from unscathed. The men, though triumphant, are physically and emotionally drained. Their armor is dented, their swords are stained, and their bodies bear the marks of combat. The vanguard, those brave men who had fought to secure the future of the Roman march, have taken the brunt of the damage. Their sacrifices are not forgotten, but their losses are painfully clear. Marcus, the soldier who had held the bridge against overwhelming odds, now stands among the fallen. His armor is battered, his face smeared with blood, but his eyes still burn with the fire of survival. He looks around him, seeing the men who fought beside him, their lives now extinguished. He can hear the cries of the wounded, the faint whimpers of men who will never walk again. But even in the face of such loss, the Roman legions do not falter. They cannot. The battle may have been won, but the war is far from over. The enemy lies defeated, but their next move is inevitable. The legions, exhausted though they are, must press on. The Roman war machine does not stop. It cannot stop. Not when so much is at stake. As the wounded are tended to, the dead are honored, and the soldiers regroup, the realization begins to settle in. This victory, though hard won, has come at a price. The men who fought in this battle have earned their place in history, but their victory is bittersweet. Rome may have advanced, but it has also lost. The price of conquest, the toll of survival, has never been clearer. But even as the soldiers of Rome mourn their losses, they are already preparing for the next phase of their march. The battle may be over, but the journey continues. The Roman legions are like a river, always moving forward, never stopping, no matter the cost. Their goal is always the same: victory, survival, and the unyielding drive to keep marching. The legion's rear guard moves in, ensuring that no one is left behind. The baggage train, despite its slowness, continues its journey, carrying the supplies and tools that will keep the army going. The Romans are nothing if not efficient. They are always thinking ahead, always planning, always preparing for what comes next. As the column begins to move again, the soldiers are reminded of their purpose. The Roman Empire is built on the backs of men like them. The legions are the lifeblood of Rome, the force that expands its borders, crushes its enemies, and keeps the empire running. It's not just about the battles fought and the victories won. It's about the unbroken march, the relentless advance of Rome's might across the world. The soldiers, though weary and burdened, know their mission is far from over. They march on, knowing that every step they take, every decision they make, brings them closer to their next challenge. The cost of victory is high, but the price of failure is higher. As the Roman column marches forward into the horizon, the once bustling battlefield now stands silent behind them. The soldiers, battered and bruised, press on with no time for mourning. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows across the landscape as the army moves deeper into enemy territory. The sound of marching boots, muffled by the earth, is the only thing that breaks the silence. It's in these moments, after a battle, when the true cost of war becomes clear. The soldiers of the Roman legions, who only hours ago were locked in a fight for their lives, now move forward with grim determination. They've lost men, heroes have fallen, and yet there is no time for rest, no time to reflect on their sacrifices. There is only the road ahead, the endless march, and the demands of the empire. Behind them, the battlefield lies as a silent reminder of what was lost: comrades, lives, and dreams shattered by the weight of conquest. But this is the reality of the Roman soldier. This is what it means to serve in the legions. Victory, as sweet as it may be, always comes with a price, and the price is steep. The rear guard, composed of the toughest soldiers, ensures that the baggage train, the lifeblood of the army, moves undisturbed. The mules, the carts, and the wagons continue their journey. The impedimenta, the supply train, might be slow, but it is the heart of the Roman march. Without it, the entire column would grind to a halt. Yet even this vital train faces its own risks, and the men guarding it are ever vigilant. As night falls, the soldiers begin to set up camp once again. They dig trenches, build fortifications, and prepare for the next day's march. The Roman legions don't just conquer, they build, they fortify, and they plan for survival. But even as they prepare their camp, there is an undeniable sense of exhaustion in the air. The day has taken its toll, and the men are worn thin. Despite this, the discipline never fades. Even in the darkest hours, as the soldiers huddle around small fires, the same rules apply. No laughing, no loud talking. The silence is absolute. The soldiers know that their lives depend on their ability to maintain order, even in the most trying circumstances. And then, as the last campfire flickers out and the soldiers settle in for a brief, restless sleep, the true weight of the Roman march is revealed. For the legions of Rome, this is just another day. Another day in the long, unbroken line of soldiers marching to conquer, to build, and to preserve the empire. But for each soldier, it's more than that. It's a test of endurance, a trial of willpower. And each day they march, they pay a heavy price. The Roman Empire was built on the backs of men like these, men who never stopped, never faltered, and never let the weight of the world slow them down. But what we often forget is that behind the columns of marching soldiers, behind the discipline and glory, there were real men with real fears, real losses, and real sacrifices. So, as the Roman legions move on, relentless and unyielding, we are left with a question. Could you survive this? Could you withstand the physical and mental toll of a march that never ends, of a battle that never truly stops? Could you, like the soldiers of Rome, march without rest, without hesitation, and without faltering, for the empire, for survival, and for the unyielding spirit of Rome? The march of the Roman legions was not just a military campaign. It was a way of life, a life of sacrifice, survival, and the unbreakable will to never stop moving forward. And in the end, that's what made Rome unstoppable. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the brutal reality of marching with the Roman legions, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Join us again as we explore the untold stories of history's most legendary warriors, battles, and empires. And as always, may Mars guide you in battle, because even the mightiest empires were built on the backs of those who never stopped marching.